Transparency is the one thing that I will be pushing if I become a board director. I understand there's legal things that cannot be divulged, such as the Troon contract, for competitive reasons. Rumors, people, it's all your own fault. If you're hearing a rumor and you don't think it's good, you need to check with somebody that's on the board, or go to one of the departments, or ask Mr. Twiggs yourself. Get the facts. Don't pass them around. Don't ask somebody else about it. The restaurants, I'm not really familiar with why they're closing down. I do plans to build a new restaurant 2 years ago. So it's not necessarily the POA fault that they left. As far as the Twiggs running the board, I don't have any knowledge of that. I don't think that's the way it goes. But I'm sure if the board didn't agree with what Mr. Twiggs was doing, they'd be on it.
Transparency. Most of the people who know me, I'm very open and honest, and that's been my philosophy as a director. I'm going to be very open about what's going on as much as I can. The restaurant that was talked about, I also went to Brian and I talked to Brian about Cortez, and I understand his concerns, and I will take that into account when that issue comes up again. What were the other two questions? Oh, the board. I have talked with several current directors, and even though they are in control, I think their perception is that maybe Twiggs is in control, and that's not the case. So if we get on the board, Bob and I and Tom and whoever else gets on, we're going to make sure that everybody knows that the board is in control and that David Twigg enters us. We make the decisions. Thank you.
All right, Bob, you'll be fielding this one. We have two more questions. And
I had one quick question.
You'll ask your question, and then the gentleman.
Okay. Quick question. If the general manager and the board can impose a 0.085% tax on us without our consent, how long will it be before they decide it's not enough and it needs to be 3% or 5% or whatever?
That's a really good question. I think you saw the reaction of the board when they found out about this 0.85% tax. They hadn't discussed it, they hadn't presented it to the membership, and they pulled it right off the agenda, which was the correct thing to do. As far as projecting how far that tax would ever go, I don't know. I don't agree with it. It's not the thing to be doing right now when we're still trying to bolster real estate sales. As long as the village is involved in things where they should be, I don't think you have to worry about POA management raising the rates or the taxes and all that stuff so high that you can't get by with it. You just have to trust, and trust starts with the villagers getting involved.
And I don't have any further comment other than what Bob said.
And Mark, I don't know how long it would take either. I wondered the same thing. The realtors, when they became aware of that particular issue, that was the incentive for Jim Buss and myself to get a package and get on the ballot less than 2 days before the deadline. I was surprised to hear that the board of directors of the POA were unaware of it. I thought probably the reason we were told about it because Mr. Twiggs thought the fix was in and it was safe to let us know and it would be done. I don't know why you can do 0.85 as an assessment and not do some larger number and have it be legal. I don't know why. I don't know why that does not require membership approval. I don't know why.
Okay, Bill, you get to field our last question here.
I just want to make a comment too. It's my understanding that the directors were aware of the third prong and it had been discussed over the last 2 or 3 years. However, they didn't know that it was coming up at that time. It kind of took them by surprise. They really hadn't had time to sit around and talk about it and understand what was going on. That was the surprise. They did know about it. It's just the timing of it They wasn't aware that it was going to be on there. It just all of a sudden it came up. Just a point of clarification.
Question here?
First, a point of clarification on my own. Bob Shoemaker, I've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce almost since its beginning, and have been a board member now for 5 years. And I would just like to point out that the POA has been deeply involved in the Chamber of Commerce and worked with them since its inception. The general manager at the time was really the instigator of getting the, one of the key players in getting the chamber established, and the general manager or his assistant have always had a place on the board of the chamber. So there has been strong cooperation between the PO, in my judgment, between the POA and the Chamber of Commerce. Now, my question really is to Mr. Herman only. And I've already shared this with him, but I want to share it publicly because it still bothers me. As a resident of Garland County, I find it very difficult to understand how the appropriateness of you running for the POA board and also running for county judge of Garland County. I think there is a conflict of interest there, and I'm just very uncomfortable. I'd like you to speak to the appropriateness of that.
Well, a couple of remarks about that question. One is that the POA, even though you think of it as a government, is a not-for-profit corporation. And it has a board of directors. And if you think that many of the CEOs of government bodies, counties, states, presidents, are members of our board, or directors on boards of directors of numerous not-for-profit corporations. And as far as there being a conflict of interest, I see it the opposite, that what a benefit it would be for the POA if the county judge, should I win, and I'd like to point out that I'm running as an independent against an establishment incumbent backed by the Republican Party, so it's a long shot that I would win. But if I did win and was Garland County judge, what a benefit that would be. You wouldn't have to struggle with communicating with the county government and the POA.
I have no comment on that question.
All right, so that wraps up the questions from the floor. We now move to our closing comments, remarks. Those will be 2-minute closing remarks from the podium, beginning with Mr. Herman. Then moving to Mr. Cunningham and then Mr. Herman.
Don't live in the village. I'm a property owner, like the majority of the members of the POA. And I think it's appropriate, maybe you can consider whether or not you think it's appropriate, that at least one of the members of the board of directors be a lot owner who doesn't reside in the village, so that the majority of the POA members can have some representation of their position in that way. And if you think that's a reasonable thing, and if you think that would be a helpful dynamic to have as part of the POA board of directors, then I'm not aware of anyone else that can offer that to you at this time. I'm the only candidate that's filed who is in that position. So if you want to have me on the ballot, or not have me on the ballot, I'm already on the ballot, I think. If you want to have me on the board, then please take that into account. And in saying that, I want to say that I don't have any antipathy toward living in the village. I have lived in the village. I have lots and lots of friends in the village. I have been a member of the church, Hot Springs Village Bible Church, right over next to the Catholic Church, just down the road from here for years. And my wife and I go there. We're involved there. Many of our friends are villagers. Many of our, I don't know if it's the majority or not, but many of our friends are villagers. There's some in the audience. And you would not be electing a candidate, you would not be electing a director for the POA who is an antagonist toward
your life in the village as a resident of the village, we would be friends.
We all know the village is entering a period of financial and marketing challenges. My business experience and my experience interfacing with the villagers, the management, and the staff, as well as my listening and communicating skills, will allow me to work smoothly and help provide villagers with a healthy growth pattern, as well as a conservative financial plan for stability in these coming years. This strategy must provide enough working capital to protect the essence of life in the village. At the same time, we have to look to protect our health and welfare. This will require a fresh look at our amenities and our infrastructure programs, and we're going to have to make some really tough decisions. I promise as a director to provide this conduit between the villagers and management, so that no voice will go unheard. Trust me, you can come to me and I will just do my utmost I can to get the facts straight so that you can go back out and set that person straight that rumored that false information. I ask you to vote for me and 2 other candidates who have the knowledge and experience gained from successful business careers and have also participated in our community affairs, and also that have lived in the village. It's hard to experience things in the village if you don't live here. On a daily basis, in and out, you'll learn a lot if you can live in the village and not look outside. Please read the resumes and choose the people who will best represent you for the next 3 or more years. And I would like to thank the chamber, and I would like to thank our guests. It's refreshing to see somebody participating in village government. Thank you.
Before I close, I did want to make one comment regarding what Clay said about non-residents. I think I know what non-residents' views are. I was a non-resident for 10 years. I did vote in 10 different elections, so I do have that perspective. You know, I'm going to tell you why I'm running. Some of my friends, which are here, have really encouraged me to run for the board. Some of my other friends, when I was out getting signatures, said, if you're really your friend, I don't want to sign it because why are you running for the board? This is a very thankless job. There's no money involved. You spend time and energy at it. I could have been very happy during the next 3 years doing ACC, which I thoroughly love. I do make a difference in ACC, and I love working with the guys on ACC, but I think it's time for me to run using my skills that I learned with State Farm and ACC. I do understand all the workings of the POA, and we're at a crossroads financially, and I think I can really help with that. So in closing, if you want someone who's energetic, very organized, creative, to be the devil's advocate, just ask the guys in ACC. If you want somebody who's honest and ethical, who's a fiscal conservative, has experience with the inner workings of the POA, and if you want someone with all these qualities, then please support and vote for me. Also, I agree with Bob. I think those of us that have been very involved in the community, the POA with committees, we 3 will make good directors and will represent you well. Thank you.
Why don't we give all our candidates a big round of applause? Didn't they do a good job? Thank you, guys. Thank you. In closing, I want to thank our candidates, our timer, Jason Brown, our chamber members, and all of you for your participation in the Hot Spring Village Area Chamber of Commerce POA Candidate Forum. Please drive safely, and God bless you.